We've got Mr. Lafferty here, sadly not riding in this race because that accident at Silverstone was a big one and you're not knocked around, aren't you?
Yeah, still not up to it. I did try. I rode all 4 practice sessions and I rode morning warm-up, but the team decided to pull me out. I can't ride the bike in anger, you know. I can ride it around, I just can't race it. It's just, you forget how physical it is, and my body just isn't up to it yet. It took a big bang 3 weeks ago, and it's going to take a bit of time to recover, but hopefully we can be back in time for Donington and get back on the pace again, try and finish the season strong.
OK, well, we hope that too very much as well. I'm going to nip over here and see Mr. Gregorio Lavia because I didn't get a chance to talk to him very much before the first race, but have to say he rode a beautiful race there. And Gregorio, now, I know it's tense times and you really hate people like me coming around talking to you at this time of the race, but it was a tough race. Have you had a chance to do any changes or anything for this race?
Oh, we saw a little bit on the telemetry that the bike was changing quite a lot from the first laps to the last laps. But it's really a big risk to make something silly that maybe instead of finish second, I am finish more back. Then we concentrate on what we know and just try to do my best again.
OK, well, I know it's going to be another tough one. I think it's Keogh now. Michael seems to have dropped away a bit. He's maybe a bit injured and everything else. It looks like a 2-horse race. And was that what you were expecting?
Well, Keogh has been always the fastest rider out there, and I think it's good to fight with him for a championship. OK,
wish you luck with that championship. There's still a long way to go for it. I'm going to nip over and have a word with Tommy Hill because he qualified extremely well, but unfortunately didn't kind of get away. Now, Jonathan Palmer's having a chat with him, but I wonder if I could just quickly jump in. Tommy, that race wasn't quite to plan, I guess, from what you were expecting.
No, obviously not the same as Cadwell Park, completely different. The front lot broke away and, you know, just giving it my best, and that's all I can do. You know, I'm trying hard and, you know, everyone else is trying hard, but just got to give it some of the first few laps really and get a bit more aggressive. We've been trying to smooth it out and smooth my riding style out, but I've got to try and go back in my old ways from like the R6 Cup and try and, yeah, just give him some stick on the first few laps. OK, well, I hope that goes OK. Now, I can just see Adrian Gorst over here. I might just have a chat with him, my old mechanic, and, in fact, Keith Hewen's old mechanic. Adrian, you told me this morning, or yesterday, in fact, that the championship's no problem and Keogh's the man. Well, I have to say, it looks like you've got it right.
Well, I don't know if it's no problem, but we just go out there and try and win races, and if we win races, hopefully the championship will come, you know. But the main priority is just win races at the moment, and all we do is we're not putting any more pressure on ourselves, you know, than we do normally. We go out there to win races every weekend, so we just keep on doing what we're doing.
But this was going to be your toughest track in some ways because Keogh's only really ridden here once before, hasn't he?
Yeah, everybody else has ridden here this year and we haven't, so we always knew it was going to be a bit harder for us, and obviously practice conditions of Friday and Saturday with the wet, we lost a lot of dry time. But yeah, we're getting there okay, and Keogh's, even in the first race there, he's still learning the track and getting to understand it better, so hopefully we can be a bit stronger in the second.
All right, wish you luck with that, and I think that's about it. We're about to get back, and it's over to Neil Mackenzie and Keith Hewen to take us through this, what is looking like being a great race coming up.
Yeah. Joining us here is Scott Smart as well. We'll be talking with him in just a moment. Scott Smart has joined us in the booth. We have a real lot of guests on commentary today. All of it good, I've got to say. We've got the statisticians of Scott Smart and Michael Niblett for both the first Superbike and the Virgin Mobile Cup. And then we've had Julian Ryder, the anorak, to slay all anoraks. Now, though, we are opening with the second race of the day. Down to turn 1. Ryoichi Chianari in the lead from Tommy Hill from the Airways Ducati of Gregorio Lavia. It looked like Johnny Reynolds has got a great start as well. John Reynolds, I think, in 4th place down Cascades. It was John Reynolds, yes it was. Then it's Leon Haslam through Cascades.
Very similar start to first race. Chianari away in front, Tommy Hill right behind them.
Tommy Hill just holding them up.
In 3rd position.
Tommy Hill did the job of just holding them up a little bit for Chianari in race 1, but not long this time. Lavia knows that he really cannot let Chianari get away from him if he's going to win this. He's not going to have to use his tyres up to catch Chianari like he had to in race 1.
Well, Dunlop got their wish in this race as well. They needed 4 degrees more track temperature for the new N-Tech tyre to work better. They all looked really worn in the first race. So Dunlop are convinced they can have a better race this time.
Julian Ryder left his anorak on the wall. You can take it with you. Scott Smart, then ever the technician. I just love the way you analyse everything to the nth degree. But you're right, it's going to make a big difference. And for me, in simple terms, because I am a simple man, the fact that Chianari is not going to be allowed to get away by the 5 or 6 seconds that he had in race 1 on the opening couple of laps, I think that Spaniard knows exactly what he's got to do. He cannot afford to have to spin his tyres up and use up all their useful life trying to catch somebody out front.
Yeah, it was 4 or 5 laps before he got in touch with Kienari on the last race and worked especially his rear tyre really hard. John Reynolds already up to third place. Much nicer start for Reynolds on the Rizla Suzuki there.
Well, I think you're a little bit mild on that one, Neil. I think that's absolutely outstanding. John Reynolds too is in the same position. He can't use all that horsepower of that Rizla Suzuki if he's used up his tyres trying to make his way through the field.
Well, what John Reynolds admits is that earlier races this season he's just been lacking confidence just to push, take the chances in the opening laps, and that was mainly due to poor qualifying and having to pass a lot of riders, but certainly seems to have made some improvements in that department. Lavia now right with Kienari.
Leon Haslam though trying to get past Tommy Hill as well on a 91 bike. That's the 6 bike of Kienari, the 36 of Gregorio Lavia. That's surely going to make the pass going up in the shell. That's where he's been so brilliant on the brakes, but so is Kienari good on the brakes as well. Running into behind him is Gregorio Lavia. Leon Haslam is trying to make up places if he can. He's in 5th place at this moment in time. Of course, he had to do a lot of work too.
Why would he want to pass him at this stage of the race? They're pulling away. He can preserve his tyres. I mean, unless John gets there, there's no point in pushing the pace faster.
Well, I think you've just said it to yourself and you've answered your own question. John is there, and he was thereabouts coming into Britain chicane, and with the power of the Suzuki, you know it's going to be fast over the top of the hill and down into behind them. There's nothing to shout here, so maybe he will want to make a pass. You answered your own question, Scott. Too smart for yourself.
I'm going with settle down for a few laps, let the tyres get up to temperature and take it easy in the first few laps. You don't win it in the beginning of the race, you win it on the last lap.
That is a good point, but no one told Kienari last time out. This time he's got a different schedule to be working to, of course. Kienari coming out of Druids onto the little blast of hills into the last passing place on the track. Haslam has come under Tommy Hill as well. Now there's another man that is desperate not to let the race leaders get away. He's out wide though.
Yeah, that was using all the tracks, and Tommy Hill sneaks back past. Maybe that'll let Glenn get past the Ducati as well.
Well, the Ducati perhaps is a little bit...
Rutter.
Kawasaki's going well, and Rutter's in it as well. Here's Michael Rutter, a resurgent Michael Rutter from the 3rd row of the grid, and he needs to be.
Yeah, must have had a good lunch.
Or something. Good massage. Every time I go in the back of the HM Plant Honda track,
Don't talk
he's
about
on a
that.
bed. He's on a bed, and Ryoichi Kienari is sleeping on a tyre rack.
Too much information.
Could get worse. Now then, Gregorio isn't able. I'll tell you what, Kienari must carry some speed down into this hairpin, because Gregorio isn't quite able to come up the inside if, as Scott Smart has obviously speculated, that maybe he doesn't really want to at this point.
John Reynolds is the fastest lap of the race at this point and visually closer to Kienari and Lavia.
1:36.698 on lap 2. That's a great lap time for just lap 2.
And better than his first race best lap as well.
Unbelievable. Just gets quicker and quicker and quicker in British Superbikes. It really does. Well, I'll tell you what, as this British Superbike Series opens up, this, of course, after this race we have just 4 more left. That means there are just 100 points left on the table after this race. It is going to be a sprint to the end, isn't it? Donington Park, then Brands Hatch on the full Grand Prix circuit. We will be live at Brands Hatch for the final race.
Lavia looking very comfortable at the moment, and of course these two at the front got their own personal battle, but John Reynolds there in 3rd position, he doesn't care what happens with the championship.
JR out of Deer Leap, just a little bit, shall we say, shy of getting out of there.
Yeah.
Oh! Keo foot off the footrest there, so Ryoichi Kienari out towards the curb, right foot off the foot pegs. What is all that about?
Well, he's certainly under pressure from Lavia, and Lavia, as we said earlier, just able to conserve these tyres, a lot kinder to his tyres in the opening laps here.
Perhaps I can ask Scott Smart in these circumstances, because me and Neil had just about done it to death. We always ask the question about whether Ryoichi Kienari was up for a bit of a brawl, but out wide. But he certainly was when it came to Gregorio Lavia in race 1. Elbows to elbows out of the elite. Your take on that?
When it comes down to it, he's got the ability, hasn't he? And it counts now. At this stage of the season, there is no messing around. You can't afford to have a 2nd place. At the same time, you can't really afford to crash.
Yeah, as you know. Kienari, Lavia, Reynolds, Hill still in 4th place. 5th is still Richards. Haslam is in 6th place now, so Richards still has the advantage over Leon Haslam. Leon Haslam making no more progress. It's all about these top 3, really, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, Tommy's riding really well into the corners, so he's just virtually impossible to get past. The bike isn't quite as quick, but they can't find a way past him.
I actually will go with you about what you were saying earlier on, Scott. Oh, Hayden in. Now, what's all that? Oh, Rutter down again, Rutter down. Michael Rutter is out, Hayden is in pit lane. Michael Rutter has gone back into, he's come over all agricultural, he's gone straight into the grass again, and that is hurting his right shoulder. That's the shoulder he was having the work done on this morning in the back of the HM plant truck. That is his 10th crash of the year.
And he's not really renowned as a crasher at all, is it?
Not really. The odd lapse of concentration, perhaps, you can accuse Michael Rutter of, but he really cannot keep that motor. It's going to destroy his confidence.
A few years ago...
Oh, here goes Lavia. Lavia up the inside. Sorry, Scott.
A few years ago, you'd accuse the Mitchins of being less forgiving, especially on a British-type track, but not now. So it must just be the pressure getting to Michael.
Well, Michelin had designed a range of tyres specifically for British racetracks, and that's probably why they work so well here in Great Britain. They've slung such a lot of money and effort at it. I was about to ask about seemingly endless time ago, JR, perhaps, going back to your theory earlier on, would be happy to sit behind these two battling for it and try and pick them off late in the race. That's more JR's style, I would suggest.
Yeah, the other good thing about with these three at the front, they're all really nice, neat, tidy riders. They don't just throw a bike at you in the middle of a corner. They've all got a lot of respect for each other.
Let's take a look at this, into Cascades. I tell you what,
Tricky place to pass.
How confident do you have to be with the front end to be able to do that at Cascades?
Not just the front, as you go in there, you're heavy on the front, but the back is so light over the bump as you drop in there. You start to turn the bike before the back's actually loaded up, so you never quite know if it's going to hook up. And then we've seen how early Lavia gets on the pad because he was sliding it mid-corner there in the first race.
So, Gregorio Lavia leads this race and is looking to try and extend his championship lead over the man behind him, Ryoichi Kianari. Meanwhile, John Reynolds, if ever there was a great spoiler, it is the defending and now to be outgoing champion, John Reynolds, on the Suzuki. So, Reynolds, you've got to admire John Reynolds. He's at the twilight zone of his years as far as racing motorcycles is concerned. To find the motivation and the commitment it takes after the injuries he's had at his age to do it at the pace they're going at Oulton Park is nothing short of remarkable.
And the fact is, you're right, he is at the tail end of his career, but these guys at the front are some of the best riders in the world, and he's got some of the best riders in the world right behind them as well. So the fact that he's in third position there is pretty amazing.
40 years old, Neil. I think
the rest.
Yeah, well,
he doesn't make a secret of his age, is he? He was 42 this year. It's actually embarrassing for all the younger ones, like me.
Well, you've got to say there are some great riders that have gone on into their 40s. Here's one of them. Meanwhile, Gregorio Lavia easing away at the front of the field now from Ryoichi Kianari. Seemingly at this stage in the race, and this will be down the tyres and where the degradation comes into Oz there with James Hayden. James Hayden out, we don't know the reason for that, but certainly looks mechanical rather than stepping off the thing. I was about to say, it looks to me like Ryoichi Kianari is having to wait for a moment or two to get back onto terms with Gregorio Lavia here. Lavia seems to have been able to put the power down. Is that going to be down to the fact that Lavia has made this break earlier in this race and he's conserved his tyres enough?
The pace wasn't that hot. Lavia did a 36.3 in the fifth lap of the first race and a low 36s around it, and it gave his tyre a hard time. The pace at this race had only been low 37, so Lavia knew he had 8/10 in hand, so I guess he's decided he wanted to up the pace. As we said, the tyres, the Dunlop should last a little bit better in this race, and he hasn't had to push so hard, so you might as well try and win it from the front.
James Buckingham is the best of the Privateer Cup at the moment in front of Steve Brogan. Brogan, the local man, but Buckingham is the man that's going to win that Superbike Cup championship today if he grabs those 25 points. He's looking cool at the moment. We'll be speaking to him, of course, after this race with Steve Parrish. But right now, all eyes are on Gregorio Lavia, the Spaniard, out front in the championship, out front in race 2 here at Oulton Park. Can Ryoichi Kianari make a comeback? Got to say, as it looks at the moment on lap 7 of 18, I know it's still early doors yet, but it certainly looks to me like Lavia is putting in some quick lap times, and he's just keeping the pace, and Kianari where he wants him.
Kianari matched him on the last lap, but Lavia's got the hammer down, hasn't he? And he's so smooth. But the thing is, he's learning every time he goes out. There haven't been that many dry sessions this weekend. This is like literally the first race was his 3rd or 4th dry session.
Let's have a look down the top 10. Lavia, Kianari, Reynolds, Hill still in 4th place. Leon Haslam in 5th place. Glenn Richards down to 6th place now. Carl Harris in 7th place. Dean Thomas on the Hawk Kawasaki 8th place. Gary Mason on the Stobart Honda in 9th place. Steve Plato, who crashed out of race 1, is in 10th place on the Hydrax Honda. And Sean Emmett on the Virgin Mobile Yamaha in 11th place, with James Buckingham 12th, but the leading Superbike Cup. Now Keo has closed in as I go on about what's happening in the top 12. Ryoichi Kianari is about to end some of that speculation going on here in the commentary position. Neil, your thoughts on this? Oh, look at this! Look at this!
he's sitting there quite comfortable, and yeah, having a look at Lavia, and as Scott mentioned, the pace is a fair bit slower, so these guys definitely have got something in hand, and there's plenty of time left. Not even halfway through this race so far, but Chianari's sitting there quite comfortable as he did in race 1.
That was quicker than Keogh went in the first race. He just did a lap 2/10 quicker than his first race pace. But Lavia did a slow lap.
What's going on in this man's head? His wife, his partner Sandrine will be at home. I just feel so desperately sorry for Michael Rudder, I really do. That is about the loneliest position in the world to be in at the moment. Lap 8 of 18, Michael Rudder can only watch as his British Championship hopes are slipping from his grasp. He's never won a British Championship, and really, I've got to say, as it is at the moment, and it isn't a smart man that says it, I can tell you that for nothing, he's seeing it go. And you've got to question, 32 years old, he's got to find the motivation and the motorcycle for next year. I mean, obviously at this time of the year as well, it's contract time. Everyone's looking at the performances of your riders during the course of the closing stages. Scott Smart knows that. He's looking at me with his eyes crossed at this moment in time. I'll tell you what, Neil, I don't miss that part of racing.
Not at all. It's the highs always make up for the lows, and there's a lot of dark days in racing, but Michael Rudder was looking so good pretty much halfway through this season, and certainly looking like he had a nice healthy championship lead at one point, but it just shows you how quickly it can all turn around. Well,
Michael Rudder was giving Ryoichi Chianari a whole load of stick in the truck yesterday regarding the Audi Quattro Performance Award, which of course is an award where you win an Audi TT. It's here every racetrack. We see the Audi up on a plinth here. It's a beautiful car, but of course he's not going to ship it back to Japan, so Michael Rudder keeps saying to Keogh he's got to give it to him. Michael would have won it last year, by the way. Well, it might have been John Reynolds that won the championship, but on the point scoring system that the Audi Quattro Performance Award has, it would have meant that Michael Rudder would have taken it home last year. He asked for it to be backdated when it was announced this year.
Yeah, as if he hasn't bitched enough about it all year.
Can't blame him though, can you? I think John Reynolds is just easing away. Well, he's just not able to get right in touch with these two, is he really?
Yeah, but it's a big step forward. In the last couple of podiums he's literally inherited, he's said so himself, but this time he has absolutely raced for it. So I think they've obviously worked really hard on the cigarette paper Suzuki, and it's performing well now.
Lavia, Chianari, Reynolds, that's your top three, and they are all within a second of each other. In other words, a second covers all three of them. We're on lap 9 of 18, so we're halfway distance-wise. It's warmed up a little bit track temperature-wise. You've heard Scott Smart speculate over how well the Dunlops will do with the extra temperature in the track. Of course, we don't quite know which way that sends the Michelins. Chianari will know, though. He's on it. And he's right back. He just yo-yo backwards and forwards, Neil, in this. And it's like he's quick in some place. It's like he's trying out where he's quick from Gregorio.
It's going to be the last third of this race, and it's going to come down to tyre performance, tyre endurance, when we know exactly what's going on here.
Yeah, this is actually almost dangerous. Gregorio obviously felt he could pull away and didn't manage it. Now it's better to be sat in second in this race because you're seeing everything the guy in front does. He's learning exactly where he's stronger than Gregorio.
But they're in the 36s all the time. These are not slow times. I mean, 36.9. I know it's a little bit. It's half a second off of what they were doing in race 1. Michael Rudder looking for a lift home if he can get one back to the paddock. It's a long way.
He needs to get back to the paddock, but that's probably the last place he wants to be right now.
Can you imagine walking in that huge HM Plant Honda tent, where the expectation in there, they'll say there's no pressure on him, of course, but Honda expect to win this British Championship. They expected to win it last year, even in their first year. They slung everything at it. Japanese technicians really tricked Fireblades when the Fireblades first came out last year. And believe me, the second year in, they didn't put Chianari and Tadeo Okada and a lot of other Japanese technicians here to finish second. Reynolds still the quickest man on the track overall on lap 2, 136.9. 136.6, sorry. And he's still there in third place at the moment, but seemingly and willingly just a little adrift of the two in front of him. Interesting to see if he's got anything left in the locker as this race progresses. Keogh goes by, powered in front of Lavia. Almost looked like Lavia rolling slightly over the hilltop there and let him go by.
It's like we said, though, it's wise for Lavia. He's not pulling away, so he's just showing everything he's got to Keogh. So at this time, he can now learn from Keogh.
I reckon he rolled that a little bit, rolled the throttle a little
bit. At this point, there's no point in leading. You want to be in second. You can learn everything from the guy in front, and these are both clever riders.
He's assuming he's showing anything in front. Still in the Privateer Cup, the Superbike Cup, James Buckingham leads from Steve Brogan by 8.2 seconds in the actual Superbike Cup segment of the Bennett British Superbike Series. So as we come out of the Elite now, onto lap 11 of the 18. Ryoichi Kianari, and I tell you, this is the point of the race in race 1, where Kianari was just able to draw away from the Spaniard. Don't think he's going to have it quite all his own way this time, though.
I feel sorry for Leon Haslam. He's made it through to 4th place again, and he's just not been there in the first couple of laps. He's lapping a 10th of a second or so slower. If he'd been with him, they would have dragged him along, but he just hasn't been there from the beginning.
Comes down to qualifying at the end of the day. I have to say that...
oh, John, very wide.
Right out wide then. I held my breath for a second there. John Reynolds in 3rd place in the back of our picture, ran out very wide at Island Corner. That'll give you a windy moment there, Mr. Mackenzie.
Well, yeah, JR struggling a little bit with the front end setup of his bike through practice, a little bit of chatter here and there, but obviously got caught out a little bit there. Real fast entry there into Ireland.
But isn't that the problem that this year Suzuki seems to have had throughout the year so far? It's what the man next to you complained of, but we won't go there or give him the opportunity.
I'm not allowed to say anything.
James Hayden also said something, and of course JR privately is less than 100% happy with the way the front feels on the Suzuki.
Not this weekend.
Clearly. And that's all that counts, weekend by weekend. You said it all, Neil.
And not only that, after a performance like this, your confidence is going to grow and grow and grow, and you figure out how to ride it, hopefully.
So, still it is this enthralling battle between Ryoichi Kianari and the main contender for the British Superbike Championship, 36th, Gregorio Lavia. This will grab 5 points back again on Gregorio Lavia,
which will make it swap for the championship lead by 1 point.
Thanks for that, because I was just scanning around to see where my note was on that. Thanks.
Different lines there into Old Hall.
Different bikes, yeah.
Swinging out wide, pulling it across, carrying a bit more corner speed, and Kianari turning it tighter there. But Lavia definitely makes up ground through this part of the track.
Different bikes, different tyres, different nationalities. Same commitment.
And none of them English.
Yeah, same commitment. We ain't even going to go there.
I think the front-endy part of the track, which is this, where you load the front end up really heavily.
Ducati.
This is the way, yeah, Ducati. And when it's stop and turn and accelerate out, Kianari's phenomenal. It was so apparent as well at Silverstone, this difference in the way they make their lap time.
But Kianari has his motorcycle set completely different from Michael Rudder as well. You hear Michael Rudder's bike in the middle of the corner. It's on 2 cylinders. They got it run so it runs and makes no power. Kianari's bike, the second he turns the throttle, it's on all 4 and screaming. Just explodes into life.
It probably still feels slow because he rode a MotoGP bike the other year, didn't he, for half a season?
Well, he's got a great future in front of him, hasn't he? He's had a go at MotoGP. He's come here to win this British Championship. Again, the same thing between... Actually, it's quite similar between the situation between Gregorio Lavia and Ryoichi Kianari. They're both aspire to being World Championship riders, although one of them is 10 years older than the other, which does make a bit of difference.
Well, it doesn't seem to make him any slower, though.
Well, we go back to the John Reynolds syndrome, don't we, really?
Yeah, and he's nearly 20 years older than the leader.
Yeah. Scary, isn't it? Kianari. Under pressure still from Gregorio Lavia, but it just looks to me like the rear end of that Ducati might be spinning up a fraction more now on lap 12, on lap 13. And again, like Neil Mackenzie has already said, Lavia looking for the wider line for the faster exit as we go across to the curb. And he just almost runs over Kianari in front of him, doesn't he? He's got that wide line in, but it gives him such a lot of power on the way out down the avenue and onto Cascades here.
And while these two are messing around in front, John Reynolds is 2/10 of a second closer.
He's creeping in, isn't he?
Oh, look at this, out wide. Gregorio Lavia on the brakes here is superb, but he's never seemingly been able to take too much out of Ryoichi Kianari on the brakes. Kianari must be good on the brakes at Shell, or Lavia isn't going to show him that move until late.
A lot of cat and mouse going on here.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing is that Lavia's tyres will be in better shape. Lavia was having to push a lot harder. The pace at the front was a fair bit faster in race 1, and Lavia's tyres suffered.
Bouncing into the chicane.
I said the problem with the Dunlop is it begins to lose stability. The new Dunlops, they keep grip throughout the whole race, but they start to move around. You can see it's almost like the tyre flexes. And this new evolution of Dunlops, they've got a new type of compound. They've got nothing a tiny bit harder. The next step is a lot harder. So in reality, they'd actually like to be one compound harder. They just don't have it, so they have to go with the softer tyre and try and preserve it.
Well, I'll tell you what, for a tyre that apparently isn't 100%, it's not a bad ride. It must be such a tiny degree different.
But it's only tenths and thousandths that you're looking for the whole time.
Yeah.
The track temperature has improved, so that has helped the tyre a little bit over the first race. but it still looks like the Michelin has more stability.
But we've never seen race pace like we're seeing here at Oulton Park. So every time you're playing catch-up when you're making tyres. You make tyres for the pace that the boys are running. The second you start running a second a lap pace throughout the entire race distance, better than has been done before. Poor old Dunlop, or Michelin for that matter, are right up against it.
Oh yeah, they're all working very hard.
Chianari now seems to have made a bit of a break here. We're on lap 14 of the 18. Chianari has eased away from Gregorio Lavia. Still John Reynolds, that watching brief in third place. Don't think he's going to be able to do anything from there. Haslam, having done a load of hard work, isn't going to make the podium. He's 3.7 seconds away from the man in front of him. Tommy Hill still in 5th place. Carl Harris in 6th place. Glenn Richards is down in 7th place, just in front of his teammate Dean Thomas, who looks like he's going to overhaul him in a moment. Gary Mason in 9th and Steve Plater in 10th. James Buckingham still leads the Superbike Cup.
I reckon Chianari's decided to pull the pin and gas it up a little bit now. Last lap was 37.4. It'll be really interesting to see what he does in this lap. He certainly looks like he's pushing a little bit harder, using a bit more of the track. We keep seeing poor old Michael Rutter not quite back to the paddock yet.
Wow.
Maybe he's doing a bit of a detour.
Reminds me of a book title, The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, but in his case all the way back to the paddock. He can't be in any hurry to face everybody.
He did crash about as far away as you can get from the paddock though.
The only good thing about this, of course, is that if Keogh wins this race, then he's won the Audi, which will mean that maybe he'll give it to Michael Runner out of sympathy. We'll have to wait and see. I doubt.
Oh, because that's going to really cheer him up. It'll help, obviously.
Michael Runner has been known to be motivated by a little bit of cash.
Yeah, we wouldn't say he's tight, but, well, he is.
So, down the avenue, between these two, Ryoichi Chianari, Gregorio Lavia. And there is so little in it, both on the track and in the championship. And after this, another 4 races. There's still 100 points potentially up for grabs after we finish here at Oulton Park. But they could well leave Oulton Park just a point adrift.
Oh. He's lining that up for the last lap. Yeah. He's just practicing.
And he knows he makes such superb passes there, Neil.
But the pace hasn't gone up. It's 37.5. It's slowly going slower at the moment. So they've all got a little bit in reserve.
Yeah, we might see this back in the 36s in the last lap or two. We'll wait and see. Lap 15 of 18 we're on, 2/3 of the way round at the moment. Back markers coming into view. Let's hope that doesn't interfere with anything. You just don't want to catch them in the middle of a chicane. That would be the worst case scenario. Keogh goes through his.
Well, back markers should be getting the blue flags and they're well aware of what's coming.
Middle of a chicane, can't get out of the way, that's my point. Yeah, when you're in the middle of a chicane, there's nothing anybody can do to get out of the way except run off the course.
No, especially if they're in their own little race and it appears that there are two just right in front here.
Oh dear me, they're going to catch them right the way round at Ireland, and it's...
they'll catch them before they'll be down Cascades.
Lavia down the inside, into Lodge, nuts to the front, might be good timing when the back markers are on the horizon.
Yeah, it's generally easier to make the pass if you're leading the race rather than trying to play catch up behind. These two guys are aware of what's going on.
So you scatter them all over the track. It's always best to arrive at back markers first.
Down the avenue now is Cascades, which is always a tricky place to make a pass. It's very, very quick down there, and like Neil has already said, when there's two guys fighting amongst themselves, looks like, is that Michael Pensavali? I think it is, and they're not really going to be moving over, and now we're into a real fast left-hander at Ireland. Round the outside they go, and this is where Gregorio Lavia is superb on the brakes into Shell Corner.
John only got past one of them.
Ryoichi Chianari, well, I don't think John was a real contender to take it away from these two unless there's a mistake anyway, is my view. I don't know whether you concur with that. I'll throw my 10 in since that is my job.
Yeah, no, I think he's using everything to stay there and wouldn't have anything left to do anything about it, but it is the best result they've had so far this season.
I wonder if Lavia's had something up his sleeve.
Having just said that, JR, having got past those guys, I mean, he might be, I'd take a slap in the face from John Reynolds if he manages to do it, because he ain't a million miles away off having passed those two back markers.
We could end up with a bit of Tommy Hill situation here at Cadbury Park.
Tell you what,
it's not beyond the realms of possibility, is it?
JR, a race win, how much would that be good to see after the things he's had to put up with this year so far? Well, there's a lot of grass on that track as well, as if somebody's been off there on the entry to Druid's Corner, this double right-hander. Chianari lights up the rear end of the HM Plant Honda behind the Rizzler. Behind the Airwave Ducati is the Rizzler Suzuki in third place, and again, just that little bit of drift of these two in front. We're on lap 16, about to start lap 17. 2 laps to go then. Who's it going to be? Who's your prediction on, Scott?
I want to see Lavia win, but I think it's going to be Keogh.
Okay, Neil?
Well, go with Keogh.
good. That should actually do Keogh, so Lavia will win.
Well, I have to say I'd go with Keogh as well, but that's awful, agreeing with you.
It's all right, I predicted I was going to have quite a good year, and that hasn't worked out.
Cascades along Lakeside. This is Island Corner, one where you have to commit yourself so well to it. Down towards Shell, the hairpin. No time to look at the scenery, and it's lovely here as well. This really is a park, Oulton Park, beautiful scenery. Maybe these two will have a moment to take it in after they finish racing. You can find Neil Mackenzie out on a grassy bank any time during qualifying and practice. Spends his time on the scooter nosing about what's going on here, and look at this. Keogh lights that Honda up. Not short of a bit of power, that HM Plant Honda, is it?
He got out of the chicane really cleanly. He stops mid-corner, so he's got it turned around the left, so he gets across the left apex really well. It's where he managed to make the pass before, and he's stronger in this section of the track.
Let's take you back to our comments over the last few weeks. Can Ryoichi Kianari fight shoulder to shoulder with the rest of the field? I think we saw that this afternoon, when Gregorio Lavia stuck his elbow straight in the side of Kianari. Kianari came back and won race 1. Now we're seeing a real fight back from Ryoichi Kianari up the inside, again backing it in. Is he going to run wide? That is confidence that he can pull that down and actually make the turn.
Keogh made the mistake. He saw the back end got sideways in the middle of Druid, which is normally a strong turn.
Last lap time. This is the last lap, last race of the day. I thought Keogh was going to make the pass into turn 1. He can't.
This is Lavia's strong part. He needs to be a long way ahead by the exit of the hairpin.
And Gregorio Lavia really lit the rear end of that bike up as he headed towards Cascades, down the avenue and onto Cascades now. This is the left-hander where he will be looking for the biggest advantage he can find. Lavia, he's got it right. He hasn't sat out the saddle. He hasn't spun it up. He will have been looking to deliver the power as early as he could, but as safely as he could without spinning it sideways, and giving Kianari an opportunity as we go down into a potential passing place just here. Gregorio's good here. Keogh's good on the brakes here as well. Now, from this point on,
it's Keogh.
Seeing the Honda start to move. Will he be close enough at this chicane? Lavia's so smart. He knows he had to make a big enough break, so Keogh didn't get too much momentum through this chicane. I think he's going to be thwarted because Keogh has got the momentum, but whether there's the gap, I don't think there is. I think, look at that, Lavia riding right up the inside. If you're going to pass him, Keogh, you're going to have to go around the outside of his. You're not going to do it.
It's going to be all about the drive out of Druids.
It is. It's going to be Druids corner, up over the hoods, and down into Lodge, which is the last corner. Clay Hill now.
So I think Lavia's going to ride down the right-hand side of the track all the way to Lodge, where it's a little bit dirty.
Into Druids. This is it. The build-up through this double right-hander. Who gets this corner right is going to be the winner. Big black line out the back end of the Honda as he comes down into the braking area. Lavia is going to stay on the right-hand side. If Lavia manages to pull it down here, he is going to take the race win. I don't think the Honda's going to be able to power up. Oh, yes, he is. Baby hits. Wow. I tell you, on the line. It was Lavia that took the race win, as far as I'm aware.
Our monitor doesn't know yet.
I'll tell you what, our monitor... Kianari! They've given it to Kianari! Kianari, by 0.004 of a second, has tripped the monitor, and Lavia has gone second. I think it took so long to come through. Well, I'll tell you what, we are being told there is a chance of a review. Kianari by 0.004 of a second over Lavia at the line.
All interesting stuff.
Here we go. Let's take a look at this. Here we go. Now, I've got to say, I don't think our camera keeps up with it as it goes over the line. Well, Keogh's there. It's not finished. There's here in race 2 at round 11. Ryoichi Kianari takes the win by, look at that, 0.004 of a second. John Reynolds third, 2.3 seconds. Again, his momentum towards the podium and the front of the pack here is relentless. Leon Haslam is in 4th place. He needs to get his start up, brushed up if he's going to be on the podium again this year. Carl Harris, good result from him in 5th place, slightly overshadowed by what's gone on in front of him. Winner from Cadwell Park, Tommy Hill, slipping to 6th place, but still is in the zone with the good guys. Dean Thomas gets the better of his teammate on the Hawk Kawasaki, Glenn Richards. Gary Mason on the Stobart Honda in 9th place. Steve Plater on the Hydrex Honda in 10th place. Sean Emmett on the Virgin Mobile Yamaha in 11th place and looking for a job next year by the sound of things. James Buckingham, the best of the privateers in the Superbike Cup. He will be the Superbike Cup champion. come our presentation in a little while. Richard Wren, great result from Richard Wren in the points, and that is superb to see. Last year's Virgin Mobile Cup champion, who was given the Superbike race bike this year by the Virgin Mobile team as a prize, of course. Tommy Hill before him, Richard Wren now, and Richard Wren really was a true youngster privateer into this championship this year. Struggled like mad all year long. Good points for him. I'm really pleased to see him in 13th place. Chianari by a point. Your mathematics, like just about everything else you do, Smarty, are bang on. 1 point in front of Gregorio Lavia. Michael Rutter in 3rd place now and dropping away. Look at that, a 36-point deficit over Lavia. Surely that is it for Michael Rutter, but we don't know for sure. Leon Haslam, Glenn Richards, Carl Harris, Dean Thomas, Gary Mason. There are 100